Hey, you all. So here we are. We're diving into the plant palette, which means that y'all are in the design process, choosing plants that suit the vision of your space, your forest garden, your medicine garden. And I want to do a little walkthrough of this space here behind us. This is a mimosa tree behind us, and just walk you through my design process here. All right, here we go. Okay, friends, so here we are. So this garden bed is about 5 feet wide by 20 feet long. I know that because I just used my pace to measure it. All the soil for this garden came from the side of our house when we regraded to mitigate the flooding that was happening that I told you all about in previous classes. This window here is our music room slash sitting room. It's where I do most of my work on my computer, so I'm often looking out onto this space. It also feels like a place that welcomes folks when they walk up to the front door. And I dreamt of having a mimosa outside the window. The medicine of mimosa is one for grief and healing, lung support, and yeah, it was just calling me. So I actually chose to plant this tree here. This would be the center of the guild. In this instance is this mimosa tree. It has been here for, I think like 3 years now. It was tiny. It's just now starting to do its tree-like thing. You can see that the garden bed will be smaller than the actual footprint of the tree here. So let's take a look at some of these things. And all of the plants that we've chosen for this space are native, low water plants that bloom through various times of year. And you can see a lot of soil right now because this plant right here is heartleaf skullcap, which is a Scutellaria ovata, which is a medicine for the nervous system. It spreads by rhizome. I actually unearthed one to show y'all in this video. These little rhizomes are all underneath the soil, and as the rains come and the soils cool off, this whole space will be blanketed in this plant. It is green through the winter, blooms early spring, and then goes subterranean in the heat. Now, knowing that, we have a pineapple sage here that receives hot west sun that's coming in this way. East is that way, west is this way. All right, so this plant here receives hot west sun, morning shade. I have just added about 12 of these, what we call society garlic, that are not native, but they're adapted plant from South Africa. It's evergreen, it blooms purple summer through fall. So when the skullcap goes subterranean and its purple blooms fade, the skullcap will start to bloom and bloom through the fall. Now we have this sweet salvia here that I love these colors. The butterflies and hummingbirds also love these plants. I have 5 of them planted in here. They are deciduous, and they, late spring, they pop up, vigorously pop up and bloom some early summer, take a break in the hot summer heat, and then come back in the fall. This is a giant coral bean, which is one of the coolest plants I've seen in a long time. It's a big, tall shrub. It's gonna grow up to be like 4 or 5 feet tall if we give it enough love, and it has these huge pea-like flowers that are bright magenta purple that also bring in the hummingbirds. This is a volunteer lantana, and so you know, it arrived and I didn't pull it because I say don't pull unless you know what it is, and now it's doing its thing. Grateful it's here. These are some of these hardy succulents, ghost plants that I popped off from the parent plant, and I just keep adding them year after year. This is a native Texas tuberose here that is a succulent that is kind of a more rare native plant that is super cool, and it throws up these big, or they're not too big, but long yucca looking stalks with cool pink flowers in the summer. This is the pipe vine plant that hosts the pipe vine swallowtail that is just coming back from a rest from the heat. It's coming in here. This is a fall obedient plant that really did not like the heat, but it's going to seed, and you can see me pulling on this here. And my hope is that it's reseeding here. This is some of this salvia that is spreading from seed. Welcome. Some more salvia that's spreading from seed. Always welcome. A rogue lavender plant. We'll see if it makes it. There were some in here that have died. Yeah. More of these hardy ghost plants. These are Gerber daisies that my 7-year-old chooses one every year. We just keep adding them, and they are really hardy. I love that they just keep coming back. This sacred plant here is rue. It's a potent medicinal for female reproductive system. It's also a blessing plant. I have it planted here. It's a protection plant, and it sits right by the front door. It's also a very important host plant for swallowtail caterpillar, which is why it looks like this. It's getting munched on this time of year. A native mallow that I just cut back. It's really sweet little yellow blooms. This one here is Forsythia sage. It blooms in the fall, yellow. So it should be coming into bloom here, hopefully, now that it's gotten a little rain. We'll see. Such a tough year on the bloom side of things. These are some iris that were gifted to me by my mom. We and her old lady friends. They bloom white. A volunteer native dewberry. Again, when we don't select things out, if we don't know what they are, you never know what will show up. So I'm hoping that it gives us some fruit at some point. We're coming back around. This is another iris. My mom gifted me a different year that blooms peach. Second one, I just put these in midsummer I kind of forgot about them, honestly. So, but they're doing great. I found them in a bag in my garage. You like that? Okay, so here we are, a mimosa guild. The mimosa will bloom in the spring. We have blooms for every single season, and it should fill in more and more every year. I like that it's in a young stage, so y'all can see the difference between that and the mulberry guild at the school, right? That's so filled in, but in a few more years here, this will look the same. Okay, some of y'all may ask, how did you choose those specific plant species for that garden bed? And in this instance, I set criteria. I knew I needed plants that could handle morning shade and afternoon sun, specifically from the south and west. I needed understory plants because there's oak trees up above the mimosa tree. I knew I specifically wanted a mimosa tree, and then all the other plants below that are support species. And those support species, I wanted blooms year round. I wanted native plants and adapted plants that could handle low water. And if for all of the, any plant that was going to be subterranean, for example, the Scutellaria ovata, I wanted other plants in other seasons that could be evergreen or at least show some interest, so that it's never totally blah. Because this is the first thing that people see when they walk up to our house. So that's that. Yeah. And in this instance, I also went with what was available at Cultivate instead of specific support species. So it wasn't like I said, oh, I want coral nymph salvia. I knew I wanted a salvia, and I chose the ones we had that called to me, right? And the Gerber daisies, my kiddo chose those, and we've just been adding them. The Society's garlic, I chose those because they're readily available, and I know they'll bloom when the skullcap goes underground. And the Forsythia sage and the giant coral bean, one blooms spring, summer, and the other one blooms fall, and they're both taller plants. And I just think they're beautiful and kind of sexy, honestly. And so to look out on my window onto those inspires me and makes me want to do this work with y'all. All right, more soon.